What does transformation healing mean to you? What challenging have you overcome in your life that transformed who you are today? Good morning, everyone, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our Tuesday Transformation Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Riya Wang, a certified transformation healing coach, a spiritual mentor. My healing journey has taught me the meaning of my life and the fulfillment to help others to translate the limitation, bring back the confidence and the best version of themselves. I have traveled around the world to share and learning how transformation healing that changed our lives. In this podcast show, I have my guests come from all over the world. They come here to share the inspiration story, the knowledge with all of you. I hope that can help you to use many ideas, tools, implement in your life. Today I have my special guest. I have to say her name is Francoise. If I said that correct, you can jump in if I said correct that.
Francoise.
Francoise. I love that. Even I have a little bit of tough time to pronunciation. So Francoise is a coach. She helps the people to changing their life in mental, spiritual, emotional, and all place the balance to manifest in your life. Also, she's the yoga teacher. I will let her tell a little bit more about her stories with all of you. Welcome to our podcast.
Hi, Riya. Oh, that you're doing so well. And yes, we know English is not your first language. English is my third language too. So I understand.
Wow. Yes, I love language. Even I don't speak really perfectly, but I always say the language is important when you deliver the message that people are interested, and something can bring better vibration. We talk about the vibration, right? So you are the energy worker, you are the yoga teacher. We talk about how to bring this positive energy and come to this world. So Francois, tell us where you are in the world at this moment.
Well, physically in the world, I'm in Colorado, and emotionally and spiritually, I'm redefining myself and always transforming. I just a couple of weeks ago came upon a quote that I feel is truly my life path, the paradigm for the work that I do with others. And it's from Naomi Judd, who is no longer with us in the physical form. And she said, I quote, "If you do not transform trauma, you transfer it." And I will repeat that. If one does not transform trauma, and we all coming to earth have had degrees of trauma, some of us tremendous trauma in childhood, some of us later in life. But if we do not transform trauma, we transfer it. And it takes great courage to transform trauma and the triggers that happen. But I really believe that this is a time on earth where that paradigm is more important than ever. Because not only do we have, climate change and we have toxicity, but it is that emotional, mental toxicity that we each can have power in changing, transforming, and then bringing the joy and the peace and the beauty that we all desire. We all
That is
have that in common.
powerful. Thank you for sharing. Very powerful. I just love what you said. When most time I ask my guests where you come from, and most people talk about where they are, physically. I just love what you said. My physically in here, then my spiritually in somewhere, and with that beautiful quote. Thank you so much for sharing that. I just feel have a little bit of goosebump, that energy flow. So tell us a little bit, Francisco. In this podcast show, we talk about the transformation healing. You just have this code about the transformation. So what is the challenge have you overcome in your life that transformed who you are today? So the stories you brought then to share with us.
Well, and it's interesting because right before our podcast, I told you that I was listening just haphazardly, which I love. It just seemed to come on my phone. Oprah, and as we all know, she's been through her stories too that have helped to transform who she is and evolve who she is in her work. So we all do have a story, and I think what's important about our story is not what or why, but then what happens afterwards? What do we do with it? How has it inspired us? So I was born in Europe to all Holocaust survivors. And I didn't really know what that meant because we came to America and I was 3 and then I was 5. We kept going back. And then at 7, my father, who was French, did not want to stay in America. And apparently he was ready to move our entire family to Nice. And my mother found out he was cheating and she ended up in the mental hospital. And I never saw my father again until I was older, until I was an adult. And that was a very, very traumatic time. And then my mother met my stepfather shortly thereafter, who was an Auschwitz Holocaust survivor and who became my biggest perpetrator. He emotionally and sexually abused me from the age of 9 to 16. And what's important about this, and I always felt different. At the age of 5, I was in America, and I remember being so empathic. I was always this very psychic, empathic little girl. I would take on the feelings of everybody around me, and I didn't know what that was. I just thought it was me. But at the age of 5, I somehow knew who I was. I knew that I was on earth to serve through my creativity. I don't know how I knew this, but I did. And then my childhood sort of took me in all kinds of directions, but I never forgot that. And at 16, I remember when my stepfather was thrown out of the house, I remember really being instigated and inspired by this question of what in people's history that is traumatic creates them becoming just like their perpetrators. And what is it about some people who become these extraordinary great icons like Alice Hurt Summers or Nelson Mandela or Viktor Frankl or Edith Eva Eger, all who have gone through the most extraordinary challenge and trauma and become these beautiful beings who serve the world. So for me, that became a question that I really unfolded. And throughout my life, I became an artist, and then I wanted to become a psychologist. And then I realized I discovered dance at 21, and I decided, wow, what a perfect marriage. I could become a dance therapist. I could serve the world through my creativity. And then my life unfolded. I became very interested in yoga, even at the age of 16. I got very involved in meditation and yoga and worked with, at one point, I had to really recover from my sexual and emotional trauma. And so I became very involved in that recovery and then started working with thousands of sexual abuse survivors doing my work with movement that I pioneered, Movement for the Mind. and discovered the alpha brainwave and started working with people in all kinds of new ways, and have continued to unfold this work, working with educators, working with people of every walk of life, and allowing them the ability to become the best that they can be, and to facilitate and navigate a path through their own darkness.
That is profound story. Thank you for sharing. That is beautiful. Wow. That is, I can't imagine how you go through so many tough time, transformed yourself, become today, you come here to share your story, then you are so bright. I know how much is the work take about the healing, because we all, many of us come to this world. Some of us probably is unfortunately grew up with the toxic environment, then many of the people, they even don't know when they had experienced that trauma, they didn't know how to release. Even they know that it's not good in their body, they will be storing somewhere, but they don't know how to release. So here you are, you can help teaching the people, use the movement, use many different tools. They really have so many tools can help us to transform ourselves. I always tell my audience, if you start seeking, you will be always find it. The main thing is a lot of the people, they go through the trauma, they feel hurt, then they closed, they put everything in the box, then they just say, oh, I'm fine. They ignore that. That is not a healthy way to live. You need to open your box, go through the pain. I think the pain, the challenging, is to think about that will be help us grow stronger, then grow the bigger, then grow stronger, go through that challenge. That is how we transformed.
So true. And it is a process. So there are a couple of things for me. The last 3 years were probably the darkest time that I've ever been through. And it was COVID, because it brought up things that I thought I'd already healed. I thought I'd already done the work. And then the isolation and the fear of getting sick was so, it was like it was magnified. I had never done that. I'd always had a very balanced life between my inner work, my inner spirituality, my inner truth and knowledge, and then the balance with my outer life. And all of a sudden I found myself stripped of any balance and didn't even know it. And I gave in to the world. I gave in to fear. I gave into the news. I began to believe everything. And I'd never done that in my life. I'd always been in Colorado, we call it bushwhacking. It had always sort of paved my own path. And all of a sudden I found myself without a path. So I think what's really true, Riya, is that, this transformation is not something we do once. It is an unraveling. I know the great yogis always talk about it as peeling the onion, and I know in all traditions all over the world, you have that infinity sign, and then you have, the sign of where it spirals inside. And I think that's something that's really important, to have that sense and acceptance. And out of that, I created a 4-step process that I call, no grit, no pearl, to be able to really look at how to move through that, because that's really important. I think the reason people don't transform, and the people that don't do this deep work, is because they're scared. They're scared of the darkness. They don't want to feel the pain. But the more, like you just said, the more that we try to escape the pain, the more that it's right there.
Absolutely. Even this morning, I was talking with one of my clients. She said for 20 years, she just don't want to look at that pain, keep putting there until today. Then she have a panic attack. She go to all of this. The pain, if that happens, it's just like the own. If you keep live there, that's always owning. Like you said, transformation healing is not just one-time work. I always say, you say it's the ending, peel the ending. I always say it's layers of the emotion, layers of the healing, layers of the continued practice. Every day you implement the things that's how to help you lift up. Even you go through the lower time. I have clients call me, say, oh, I feel really low. I don't know why. A few days ago I was all energy, wake up, and now I feel so low. I don't know what I do. I said that is normal, just our life. We reason, then we pass, and then you have higher the emotion, then you have low. But more important, I always tell people, when you're in the low, don't fight. That is your body give you the signal. You need taking care. You need nature and rest. Then get next higher, go up. Right? When you fight, say, well, I'm low, then you start judging, you start go to more deeper, then you start trapped in that lower energy. So that is layers of how do we healing. We are excited to hear what is your four key about that. How do you transform that? I think is thank you for talking about that, Francois. A lot of people, even I myself, we're doing practice every day, but sometimes we still, like you said, the COVID, the Iceland, the people still go through with that up and down. So how do you help the people in the tough time? That's the key. We want to hear. Share with us, please.
Well, I think we're so there's so much with technology today. I tend to resist technology, but in some way, we have so much at our fingertips today. We have so many transformational processes, and there is not one way for everyone. And that's why I love all the different paths. So the path that I created, and I have several tools in my toolbox. The first is to deal. So, whatever it is that's up, whether it's something in the present moment that triggered something from childhood, or it's something you're facing today, a death, a loss, a sickness, whatever it is. So the first thing is just to sort of like put it on your plate, deal. The second thing that in our society, we have not been given permission to do safely, and that's the important one, is safely, is to feel. So what I do with my work, with movement, I do it with my spiritual mentoring. I use yoga, I use meditation, but with movement, I help people move into the alpha brainwave state where they can access the trauma or the pain and the feelings without reliving them, but they give the feelings a platform to express, so that, like you said, when you hold the feelings in, it's like a child in a tantrum. They will just explode. But if you allow it to be expressed in a safe way, and what we know now with neuroscience and with all of the research is that all healing does not happen in the beta brainwave state. That's why often just affirmations or just talk therapy does not work, because you're not. So the mind is the platform for our thoughts, right? And the body is the vehicle for our feelings. So when I work with people through the nonverbal state with movement, and I teach them everything so that you don't have to be a dancer, you don't even have to have full mobility in your body. I allow them a platform to express their feelings safely. So that's the second step. The third step then is to heal, is to realize the thoughts, the feelings that kept you tied to your pain, tied to your trauma, tied to the triggers. And in that healing, you transform them. And then the last state is to reveal the truth of who you are. And I believe in that fourth state, all the great beings who have gone through transformation then can serve in their own unique way, whether it's becoming president like Nelson Mandela of the country that imprisoned you, or it is like Alice Hurt Summers, who at 110 was the oldest living Holocaust survivor and played music for 100 years, 100 years of practicing the piano. Can you imagine that?
God, yes.
And her essence, just people who would interview her felt this extraordinary being. So whether you are working with thousands of people, or you're just alive with your family, or you just with your friends or whatever, that fourth state then allows you to live in the world and to contribute. And I really believe that that's what we need on earth today. The most important thing is to heal our traumas and then to share in what we all know we want, which is love, which is harmony, which is peace. I'm going to share one more thing. So I saw this on a bumper sticker yesterday, and it said, if we would only all be with the power of love instead of the love of power, we would have peace in this world.
Wow. Take in with that. Yes, that fourth stage and about love. We always say the love, really, the love each of us, the love come our heart. Sometimes when we talk about the transform, we talk about use all of the different tools. So one thing is you don't like, you might not just think about I need to change. It's how do you vibrate with your body? That's how you shift. How do you living? How do you energy splint? How do you, when people talk to you, how do they feel? That is the vibration. How do you shift? Yes. That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Francoise. I just love practicing your names, Francoise. Feel I'm like in the French already. French already. Beautiful, beautiful. So thank you for bringing this story, have vulnerability, have inspiration, and this fourth stage is a tool how to help you transform. That's such beautiful the gift you brought in here. So before you have this so many amazing tools and you have this knowledge, if people want to find you, darling, what is the best way they can find you? I know we already have all of the information in this podcast if someone watches this, but still, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about how people can really find you with the easy way.
Thank you. So I have a book, Movement for the Mind, Dance that Awakens Healing, Inspiration, and Wisdom. I also have 2 CDs, Redress Your Stress, which has guided visualization and guided meditation and breathing and relaxation, and also Movement for the Mind, which is the CD that goes with this, which will teach you how to do the work. And people can book with me. They can find me on my website, and all my information is on there of all the courses I teach. I teach educators as well, graduate credits for salary enhancement and recertification through 2 universities. And I do all this work for educators so that they can impart this knowledge and also this understanding in their classroom, which I think is so important, also with creativity and wellness and understanding the mind and dissolving stress. So people can find me on www.bodyminddynamics.org. And it's body, mind, with a D, and then dynamics with another D and the S.org. And you can contact me directly through that. I like talking to people, and I will offer anyone on this podcast a 15-minute consultation with me to see what their next step is. Is it a reading? Is it a one-on-one session? Is it going deeper into their own spirituality? Is it stress management? Is it resiliency? So whatever it is for them, I'd like to offer your guest a 15-minute free consultation.
Thank you, Francois. That's such a great gift. Thank you. So we talk about the movements, talk about the all of these tips, stories. So Francois, I wanted to ask you when we close, we have a couple minutes, is what is the sample movement that you can give us, give our audience here? Just a sample movement, maybe 1 minute. If that can shift little things, is there anything you can do that help us?
Well, you know what I think that people can do is I do an inventory with people. And one of the things that I do with people who've been assaulted sexually, male or female, is I give them an exercise to feel safe in their body. Because anytime you've had any kind of abuse, most people disassociate. That's what trauma does. So it would be to close your eyes and to feel, to just notice what your mind's doing, to breathe deeply, notice what your body's doing without judgment. And then to notice what emotions are you aware of? Maybe you're feeling numb, maybe you're feeling excited, maybe you're feeling scared, whatever it is, again, without judgment. And then I have them contact the witness within themselves. The part of them that remembers their dreams, the part of them that is always okay. We all have that, but we forget it. And then I have them work on their outer boundaries so that they can delineate where they begin in their body and where they end. And then I have them go find a safe space on the inside, which I call their inner boundaries, that can never be violated ever again, where they can house their memories, their hopes, their wishes, their dreams, their feelings, and where everything is safe. And that's how I start. And then I make sure that the space that they're in, outwardly and inwardly, is safe. And I think for most of us, we're always looking for that. We search for it out there, but it's this great marriage between the in and the out. So I teach people how to access that on the inside. And then I teach them how to move in all kinds of ways so that they can use movement as a field of expression for any feelings. Because we really are more nonverbal than we are verbal, we have forgotten that. And especially when we don't, when we speak to each other, we don't speak the same language. So much of it happens, like you said in the beginning, vibrationally, right?
Yes.
And through our bodies and through the energy that comes out.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening on the podcast today. If you have the story and that inspiration in other people, you have that knowledge, I would like to invite you come to hear your story, to help other people make this world be the better place. We are the healing. When we feel the healing, feel the love with ourselves, then we will be spread that to other people, to the world. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Francois, to come here to share. We will see you next Tuesday. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.